I cannot stand how much I like this phone. It genuinely makes no sense. The thing's expensive, it has more compromises than a Google Doc with 17 editors, it's certainly not better than any of the other phones in the lineup, and its only real selling point is that it's nice, light, and airy, like a croissant. But I love those too. And sometimes one selling point is all you need. And now I'm hungry. See, devices like this will have you questioning what you think you want and what you actually need. And I can promise you, most people that buy the biggest and baddest iPhone could comfortably get away with using one of these. I always feel kind of silly talking about phones on any level deeper than a spec sheet regurgitation, but smartphones quickly became extensions of us, getting so deeply integrated into our lives, going everywhere we go, and I do mean everywhere. So there's something to be said about the experience of using one of these every day, and how the most practical choice isn't always the right one. Because let's be real for a sec, in the end, what is the right choice? The phone that goobers like me on the internet recommend to you? Well, maybe sometimes, especially if you're not in tune with phones nowadays, we could help steer you in the right direction. But ultimately, the right choice is the one that you like the most. One of my all-time favorite movies is Iron Man 1. Objectively speaking, it's not one of the greatest films of all time, but it's one that I thoroughly enjoy, and my enjoyment stems from childhood. It means something to me, and I am getting way too deep into talking about a dang phone. Point being, sometimes in life, you just gotta go with what you want. Emphasis on sometimes. Kids, listen to your parents. And when it comes to the Air, one of my favorite tech-related interactions is handing it to someone to get their reaction, and it always starts with their eyes lighting up in awe. And it's been great seeing people take the plunge. I've seen a few more Airs out in the wild, and the amount of comments I've seen of people loving theirs is awesome, with some proudly switching over from a Pro or Pro Max. As for me, I'm fresh off of using the 17 Pro Max, which I liked a lot. It's like going from a cinder block to a post-it note. One camera, one speaker, one tiny battery, $1,000. You know how it goes. But seeing a little fan base getting carved out reminds me so much of the iPhone mini days, and I love it. People are noticing it for the right reasons. While I am a dude that makes videos about phones on the internet, which makes the Pro Max such a good fit for me, the Air did happen to arrive at the perfect time, when simplicity and streamlining things in my life became an increasingly higher priority. Decentralizing my phone became something I wanted to at least explore, and the alarming amount of time spent using my phone became an even deeper concern. Mindfulness, intentionality, you know, all the buzzwords were flying around, and the Air played a small yet meaningful role in me wanting to tackle those things sooner rather than later. Of course, you get the point of this phone by now. It's extremely thin and lightweight, it's fresh, it's different, it feels like you're holding the display itself, you put it into your pocket and it just disappears. Cramming all of the main components into this camera plateau thingy was a feat of engineering. Hooray for technological coolness. But what happens when a considerable amount of time passes? In my initial iPhone Air review, I said this. Getting back to that honeymoon analogy, I might be exaggerating a little bit. I'm not so certain that this is a honeymoon that'll ever end. Yeah, I'm not certain that's true anymore. And just like in relationships, when that phase does eventually end, certain things you were willing to overlook, things you didn't even notice, or things you were so willing to be more lenient with start to take center stage and you get tested on a whole new level. Like, I don't think I even mentioned the max 20-watt wired charging this phone has in that video, which sure, 0 to 50% in half an hour, that's not too bad, but 0 to 100% in an hour and 40 minutes? Look, I understand the necessary trade-off. Faster charging means more heat, and a phone this thin is automatically bad at dissipating heat. So I get it. But again, it's not something that hit as hard during peak honeymoon phase. Then there's the speaker. I want that second one even more now. And this one isn't the worst thing in the world. It's actually impressively good for an earpiece speaker. But I gotta be honest, I'm kinda done coping on this one. I need better than that in a phone of this caliber. I don't think that's an unreasonable ask, and I can't imagine it being that difficult to implement. Look, more power to those that don't care because they use Bluetooth accessories anyway, but I am a mixed user. I've seen people be perfectly fine with these things, and I think that's great. Again, more power to them, but I don't think it's unfair to wish for simple improvements in certain areas. Battery performance? it's alright. I can still get through a day with moderate, non-power user type usage, but throw a couple phone calls and some GPS use in there and yeah, I'm plugging in before dinner time. I still think it's generally fine for lighter, simpler, basic use, which I suppose is the expected and perhaps intended usage pattern here. But over time, I felt that battery life on mine at least had taken a bit of a hit after some iOS 26 updates. And these results came well before I installed the iOS 27 beta, which I'm currently running. I've seen quite a few people get genuinely upset if someone else's battery results differ from their own, saying that the other person uses their phone too much. And other things like, well, who isn't next to an outlet all day? I always found takes like that disingenuous, completely ignoring the fact that not everyone uses their phones the same way. If battery life is good in your experience, that's awesome. Just remember that not everyone will experience what you do. I'm not looking for a 2-day battery out of this, but I do feel a high-end phone deserves a little better. So yeah, iPhone Air battery, not the worst, not amazing either. The good news is I've got help. See, this right here, that's 10,000 milliamp hours, no bigger than 2 macrons. Huh, macrons sound pretty good right about now. This is the INIU P50, also known as the Pocket Rocket, which, yeah, that tracks. It's 45% smaller and 35% lighter than other power banks with the same capacity, making it extremely portable. It does 45 watts. It'll get your iPhone 17 Pro to 65% in 25 minutes. It's got a little screen so you know exactly how much juice you've got left. Oh, and that's a USB-C cable. It's nice and durable, just like the power bank itself, and it's there when you need it, already dressed up and waiting by the door. That was a sentence I said. Here's another one. This is the Snap Go Air. Same 10,000 milliamp hours, but this one is magnetic. It slaps right onto the back of your compatible phone, chilling there like a little backpack. Qi 2.2 certified, 25 watts wirelessly. It can charge 3 devices at once, and it's just half an inch thin. It's crazy. And if you need speed, plug in wired and it hits 45 watts. I can recharge my iPhone Air twice with this thing. Both of these are very portable. They come with a 3-year warranty. They come in a bunch of different colors, and they're both on Amazon right now. And if you're quick enough, you might just catch them on sale at a super nice discount. Links are below. Stop letting your phone die, and thank me later. Huge thanks to INIU for supporting the channel and sponsoring this portion of today's video. Alright, so we already know what this camera is all about. The lack of versatility is blindingly obvious. Coming straight from the 17 Pro Max, I definitely miss the malleable nature of pro RAW shots and log footage, the flexibility of the telephoto lens, etc. But I do still like what I've been getting out of this camera overall, so that hasn't changed. Of course, I can still edit photos and take advantage of photographic styles and use third-party applications, but keeping in with the whole simplicity thing, it is nice to just snap a few photos and move on without a second thought. I think this camera is pretty great and it's perfectly fine for most people. Now, the overarching theme here, though, for me, that's a lot of words, is that regardless of what phone I'm using, I still want to get into actual dedicated cameras. I've seriously been missing out. Maybe I'll make videos on that journey in the future if you're interested. A couple of other things I thought I'd mention. I've been using the Air caseless for I'd say 99% of the time, and it's held up very well. I totally forgot that this was the only iPhone left with a titanium frame, and yeah, it's got some scuffs and scratches, but nothing major. The plateau has some too, but that makes sense seeing as how it's the main contact point when the phone is sitting on a table. The screen is impressively clean. I haven't been using a screen protector, and there aren't any crazy scratches, if any scratches at all, to be honest. To be fair, I do keep my keys and my phone in separate pockets, but yeah, Ceramic Shield 2 is doing its job very well. This is the way to use this phone. You gotta hold Apple to their claim of this being the most durable iPhone, and I'm pretty confident in that. Now, in terms of top to bottom performance, I don't really have that many notes because, well, it kind of just flies, and any performance issues that I've had are mostly software related. Things like choppy animations and scrolling. Those things can be fixed, and I fully expect to be fixed with the official release of iOS 27. Now, it's looking like the iPhone Air 2 will launch spring 2027, setting it around half a year after the usual iPhone launch period in September, and it's slated to get improvements to the battery. I'm fully expecting that second speaker, and Apple is testing a secondary camera. This gives the Air its own spotlight, though I guess you could say that they run the risk of the phone being viewed as a second-tier device compared to the rest of the lineup, because, well, consumer perception is what it is. It'll be interesting to see how they refine this phone. I obviously have my wish list, but ultimately, I just want this phone to be the best it can be. Question: can something as simple as a phone's design really be worth a handful of downsides? Absolutely. It's that good, and it is actively ruining other phones for me. It's honestly pretty wild how a premium phone's main selling point has less to do with its specs and more to do with how it feels to hold and use. Mind you, I used the iPhone mini for years, and the 13 mini is still my favorite iPhone ever, so my enjoyment of this phone was inevitable. And so was my return to it after reviewing Apple's biggest and best. The Pro Max is excellent. I like it a lot, and I'll definitely use it as a tool for certain projects, but I don't miss it when I'm not using it. The same cannot be said for the Air. I'll review the new phones coming out later, of course, but as for iPhones, this is where I want to be. If you made it to this point of the video, you are awesome. You know what to do. Drop a potato in the comments if you're part of the potato gang. Also, I don't normally do this, but I would love to hit 300,000 subscribers before the year is over. And I can only do that with your help, so feel free to hit that there button. And thank you so much for watching.
Stay sharp.